Captain Lily Moonwhisper stood on the bridge of her ship and watched the stars through the clear viewing window. Her silver hair moved gently as she turned her head to check the control panels around her. The Star Weaver had been flying through this empty part of space for 3 days now. They were looking for new planets and checking on old navigation routes that other ships used to travel between worlds. Lily had been flying ships for more than 200 years. She was old, even for an elf, but she still loved exploring the unknown parts of the galaxy. Her crew trusted her completely because she had never lost a ship or failed to bring everyone home safely. Zara looked up from her engineering station and wiped some blue sweat from her forehead. The Altarian woman had been working on the ship engines for the past hour. Her blue skin always turned a darker shade when she concentrated hard on her work. She liked to make sure everything was running perfectly before they entered any new star system. "Captain, the engines are ready for whatever we might find ahead," Zara said in her soft voice. She always spoke quietly, but everyone on the bridge could hear her clearly. The ship was designed so that even whispers could travel from one end to the other. Nyx raised her reptilian head from the communications console and made a small hissing sound. This was how her people showed they were thinking hard about something. Her scales were bright green today, which meant she was feeling curious and excited about their mission. "I am getting some strange readings on the long-range sensors," Nyx said. Her voice had a slight rasp to it like all of her species. "There is something very large moving toward us from the edge of this star system. It is moving faster than anything I have ever seen before." Lily walked over to look at the sensor display. The numbers on the screen made her eyes grow wide. Whatever was coming toward them was huge, and it was traveling at speeds that should be impossible for any ship. Most vessels in the galaxy could only travel so fast without breaking apart from the stress. "How big is it?" Lily asked while studying the readings more carefully. "At least 10 times larger than our ship," Nyx replied. "Maybe even bigger than that. The sensors are having trouble getting exact measurements because it is still so far away." Zara stood up from her station and joined them at the communications console. She looked at the numbers and shook her head in disbelief. "That cannot be right. No one builds ships that large. The amount of power needed to move something that size would require more fuel than most planets produce in a year." Lily felt a small chill run down her spine. In all her years of exploring space, she had never encountered anything like this. The 3 women watched the sensors as the massive object continued to approach their position. Whatever it was seemed to be heading directly toward them. "Try to contact them," Lily ordered. "Use all the standard greeting frequencies. Maybe they are friendly explorers like us." Nyx turned back to her console and began sending out communication signals. She used the common galactic language that most species understood. The message was simple and peaceful. It explained who they were and asked the approaching vessel to identify itself. For several minutes, there was no response. The object kept getting closer, and the sensors were finally able to give them a clearer picture of what they were seeing. When the image appeared on the main viewing screen, all 3 women gasped at the same time. The ship was unlike anything any of them had ever seen before. It was long and dark, with a hull that seemed to be covered in heavy armor plating. Strange projections stuck out from various parts of the vessel. Some looked like weapon systems, but they were far larger than any weapons the 3 women recognized. "By the ancient trees," Lily whispered. "What kind of species builds something like that?" The ship looked like it was designed for war. Every line and angle suggested strength and power. There were no decorative elements or artistic touches like most galactic vessels had. This was built purely for function, and that function appeared to be fighting. Suddenly, the communications console came to life with a crackling sound. A voice came through, speaking in a language none of them had heard before. The words were sharp and quick with hard consonant sounds. The translation computer worked for a few moments and then produced a message in Galactic Common. "Unknown vessel. This is Captain Katie Sullivan of the USS Liberty. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions in this system." Lily looked at her crew members and saw her own surprise reflected in their faces. The voice belonged to a female, but it had an authority and strength that was different from what they were used to hearing. Most galactic species spoke in soft diplomatic tones when meeting strangers. "This is Captain Lily Moonwhisper of the exploration vessel Starweaver," she replied into the communications device. "We are conducting peaceful surveys in this region. We have never encountered your species before. What did you call yourselves?" There was a brief pause before the response came back. "We are humans from the planet Earth. We have not encountered your species either. Are you representatives of the local galactic government?" Lily looked confused. She had never heard of humans, or Earth, before. The galaxy was large, but most spacefaring species were known to each other through the Galactic Council. How could an entire species with ships this advanced remain unknown? "We are members of the galactic community," Lily answered, "but we have no record of humans in our databases. Where is your homeworld located?" "Earth is located in what you probably call the Terran radiation zone," came the reply. "Most species avoid that region because of the solar storms and electromagnetic interference." Zara's eyes grew even wider. The Terran radiation zone was considered uninhabitable by galactic standards. The radiation levels there would kill most known species within days. How could anyone have evolved in such a hostile environment? The massive human ship continued to approach until it was close enough for them to see clearly without sensors. The USS Liberty was even more intimidating up close. Its hull was scarred and marked as if it had been through many battles. Weapon ports lined its sides like the teeth of some giant predator. Lily realized that first contact with humanity was going to change everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. Captain Katie Sullivan looked around the shuttle bay of the Starweaver and tried not to show her amazement. Everything was so delicate and beautiful compared to human ships. The walls curved gracefully and seemed to be made from some kind of living wood that glowed softly with its own light. Strange crystals grew from the ceiling and provided illumination that felt warm and natural. Dr. Amy Richardson walked beside Katie, carrying a small bag of medical scanning equipment. She was the Liberty's chief scientist and had studied dozens of alien species before, but never any quite like these. Colonel Beth Martinez followed behind them, keeping her hand near her sidearm out of habit but trying to look relaxed and friendly. Lily waited for them near the shuttle bay entrance, wearing robes that seemed to change color as she moved. Her silver hair was braided with small gems that sparkled in the crystal light. She smiled and bowed slightly in what appeared to be a greeting gesture among her people. "Welcome aboard the Starweaver," Lily said. "I hope our ship is comfortable. For your species, we had to guess at the proper atmosphere mixture and gravity settings." Katie was surprised at how well the translation worked. The elf woman's words came through clearly, even though she could hear the musical quality of the original language underneath. "Thank you for hosting us, Captain Moonwhisper. Your ship is beautiful. We have never seen anything quite like it." Amy was already taking readings with her scanner and looking around in wonder. The ship felt alive in a way that human vessels never did. She could hear a faint humming that seemed to come from the walls themselves. "How do you power something like this?" she asked. "The ship grows its own power source from modified plant cells," Zara explained as she joined the group. The blue woman gestured toward the glowing walls. "We feed it nutrients, and it provides energy for all our systems. It is much more efficient than burning fuel or splitting atoms." Beth raised an eyebrow at this. Human ships required massive fusion reactors and tons of fuel to operate. The idea of a living power source seemed impossible, but she could see it, working right in front of her eyes. They walked through corridors that twisted and curved like branches of a tree. Every surface was smooth and organic. There were no sharp corners or harsh angles anywhere. It was the complete opposite of human ship design, which focused on straight lines and functional efficiency. "Your vessel is much larger than ours," Lily observed as they walked. "What do you use all that space for?" "Armor mostly," Katie replied honestly. "And backup systems. Human ships are built to survive almost anything. We learned early that space is dangerous and help might not always be available." They entered the main common area where the rest of the alien crew was waiting. Nyx stood near a curved wall that displayed star charts. Her green scales had turned a lighter shade, which Amy guessed meant she was nervous or excited. Several other species were present, including small, furry creatures and tall, thin beings with 4 arms. "We have never met a species that builds warships for exploration," one of the 4-armed aliens said. "Most of us use science vessels like this one for discovering new worlds." Beth looked around at the gathered aliens and realized they were all much smaller and more fragile-looking than humans. Even the largest of them would barely reach her shoulder. "What do you do if you encounter hostile forces during your explorations?" she asked. The question seemed to confuse the entire group. They looked at each other with puzzled expressions before Lily answered. "Hostile forces? You mean like dangerous animals or natural disasters?" "No, I mean other species that might want to attack your ship or claim your discoveries for themselves," Beth explained. There was a long silence. Finally, Nix spoke up. "The galactic community has been at peace for over 1,000 years. We have treaties and councils that resolve disputes through negotiation. War is something that only happened in the ancient past." Amy was taking detailed scans of each alien species present. What she was discovering amazed her. Their bone density was less than half of human normal. Their muscle mass was also much lower. They had evolved on worlds with lighter gravity and gentler conditions than Earth. "Dr. Richardson, what are those readings telling you?" Katie asked. "These species are all adapted for peaceful environments," Amy replied. "Their bodies show no signs of evolutionary pressure from predators or environmental stress. They developed intelligence and technology without having to fight for survival the way humans did." Zara was curious about this. "What kind of world did humans evolve on?" she asked. Amy smiled grimly. "Earth has gravity twice as strong as most inhabited worlds. The weather includes storms that can level entire cities. We have poisonous plants and animals that actively hunt other species for food. Disease and natural disasters are common. For most of human history, we had to fight just to stay alive." The aliens listened to this description with growing shock. They had assumed all life-bearing worlds were like their own garden planets with stable climates and gentle conditions. "How did your species survive in such a place?" Lily asked. "We adapted," Katie answered simply. "We became stronger and tougher. We learned to make tools and weapons. We built shelters that could withstand storms and developed medicine to fight disease. When we finally reached space, we brought all those survival skills with us." Beth decided to demonstrate something. She asked if there was an open area where she could show them some basic human physical capabilities. The aliens led them to a cargo bay that had been cleared of equipment. Beth began with simple exercises. She did push-ups using only one arm and then pulled herself up using an overhead beam. The aliens watched in amazement as she lifted cargo containers that would normally require mechanical assistance. "This is normal for humans," Beth explained. "Our muscles developed to work against heavy gravity, and our bones grew dense to support our body weight. What seems impressive to you is just everyday movement for us." Lily was beginning to understand why the human ship looked so massive and heavily armed. If their bodies were naturally this strong, then their technology would reflect that same approach to survival. "Your ship must be built to the same standards as your bodies," she observed. Katie nodded. "Every human vessel is designed to survive the worst possible scenarios. We learned long ago that hoping for the best while preparing for the worst kept more people alive." Amy finished her medical scans and shared the results with the group. Human physiology shows adaptations for extreme survival, redundant organs, increased healing capacity, dense bone structure, and muscle systems designed for heavy work. You evolved to be living weapons, while most other species evolved to be living artists. The cultural exchange was revealing how different their approaches to existence had been. The galactic community had developed through cooperation and peaceful growth. Humanity had grown strong through constant challenge and adversity. As the meeting continued, both sides realized they had much to learn from each other. The aliens could teach humans about harmony and artistic achievement. The humans could remind the galaxy what strength and preparedness could accomplish when properly applied. Zara followed Lieutenant Commander Grace Chen through the corridors of the USS Liberty and tried to understand what she was seeing. Everything was built from thick metal that looked like it could stop a meteor impact. The walls were lined with pipes and cables that seemed much larger than necessary. Emergency lights were placed every few meters, and backup systems were visible everywhere she looked. "Why do you need so many redundant systems?" Zara asked as they passed another set of emergency controls. Grace smiled and tapped one of the wall panels. "Human engineering philosophy is simple. If something can break, it will break at the worst possible moment. So we build everything with multiple backups and then add backups for the backups." They entered the main engineering section, and Zara gasped at what she saw. The fusion reactor was enormous. It was easily 10 times larger than the power plant on her ship and surrounded by layers of shielding that looked thick enough to stop a battleship's main guns. "This reactor could power a small city," Zara said in amazement. "Why do you need so much energy for one ship?" "Actually, we have 3 reactors this size," Grace replied casually. "This is just the primary unit. The other 2 are backups in case this one fails or gets damaged in combat." Zara stared at her. 3 reactors. Your ship carries enough power generation for 3 cities. What could you possibly need all that energy for?" Grace led her to a viewing window that looked out at the weapon systems. "Those railguns need massive amounts of power to accelerate projectiles to significant fractions of light speed. The defensive shields require constant energy to deflect incoming fire. The armor plating has powered reactive systems that can absorb and redirect kinetic impacts. Your ship is designed for war," Zara observed. "Every human ship is designed for war," Grace confirmed. "Even our cargo vessels and passenger liners have weapon systems and armor plating. We learned early that space is full of things that want to kill you. Asteroids, radiation, hostile environments, and sometimes hostile people." They moved deeper into the engineering section where Zara could see the massive support systems that kept the ship operational. The life support equipment alone was larger than her entire ship's power plant. Backup air recyclers were installed throughout the vessel, and emergency supplies were stored in dozens of locations. "How much supplies do you carry?" Zara asked. "Enough to operate independently for 2 years without resupply," Grace answered. "Food, water, fuel, spare parts, and raw materials for manufacturing replacement equipment. We even have backup manufacturing facilities in case the main industrial sections get damaged." Zara was beginning to understand the scale of human preparation. Her ship could operate for maybe 2 months before needing to return to a space station for resupply. The idea of carrying 2 years' worth of everything seemed impossible, but she was seeing it with her own eyes. Grace showed her the armor plating. Systems next. The hull was not just thick metal, but layers of different materials designed to handle different types of damage. The outer layer could ablate away under energy weapon fire. The middle layers were designed to stop kinetic impacts. The inner hull was a final barrier that could seal itself if punctured. "Your armor is thicker than our entire hull," Zara commented. "It has to be," Grace explained. "Humans fight at much closer ranges than most species prefer. We learned that sometimes you need to get close to your enemy to win. That means our ships need to survive massive amounts of damage while closing to effective combat range." They visited the weapon manufacturing sections where Zara saw automated systems that could produce ammunition and replacement parts during extended operations. Humans did not just carry weapons, they carried the ability to make more weapons if needed. "Most galactic species rely on space stations and planetary facilities for manufacturing," Zara said. "You carry entire factories inside your ships." "We had to learn self-sufficiency," Grace replied. "Human history is full of times when help did not come and supply lines got cut. The only way to guarantee you have what you need is to make it yourself." The SOC tour continued through sections dedicated to medical facilities that looked more like full hospitals than ship sick bays. The Liberty carried enough medical supplies and equipment to treat thousands of casualties. There were surgical suites, genetic, therapy labs, and even facilities for growing replacement organs. "Your medical section is larger than most planetary clinics," Zara observed. "Human crews are large, and humans get injured frequently," Grace explained. "We also never know when we might encounter other species that need medical assistance. Being able to provide help is part of our exploration mission." They ended the tour at the ship's central computer core, where Zara saw information processing systems that boggled her mind. The computers were not just powerful, they were isolated and redundant. Multiple independent networks ran parallel calculations and compared results to prevent errors or interference. "Why do you need so much computing power?" Zara asked. "Humans fight using coordinated tactics that require massive amounts of real-time calculation," Grace answered. "Targeting systems, defensive countermeasures, navigation through dangerous space, and communication with other ships all require constant processing. We also carry detailed databases of everything we have ever encountered so we can share information with new species we meet." Zara realized that human technology was not just advanced, it was robust. Every system was built to work. under the worst possible conditions. Nothing was delicate or dependent on perfect environmental controls. It was all designed to function even when damaged, partially destroyed, or operating in hostile conditions. Your engineering philosophy is completely different from ours, Zara said. How do other species approach ship design? Grace asked. We focus on efficiency and elegance, Zara explained. Our ships use the minimum amount of materials and energy needed to accomplish their mission. We rely on careful maintenance and controlled environments to keep everything working properly. Grace nodded thoughtfully. That works well in a peaceful galaxy with established support networks. Human ships are built for situations where those support networks do not exist or have been destroyed. We prepare for the worst-case scenario, even when we hope it never happens. As they returned to the shuttle bay, Zara was quiet and thoughtful. She had always believed that galactic engineering represented the peak of technological achievement. Now she realized that efficiency and elegance were luxuries that only worked in safe, stable environments. Human engineering was something entirely different. It was the technology of a species that had learned to survive in a universe that was actively trying to kill them. Every redundant system and oversized component reflected generations of hard-learned lessons about what happened when careful plans met harsh reality. Thank you for showing me your ship, Zara said as they reached the shuttle bay. I understand now why humans build the way you do. Your technology reflects your history, just like ours reflects our peaceful development. Grace smiled. Maybe our species can learn from each other. Humans could benefit from some galactic efficiency and elegance. The galaxy might benefit from some human robustness and preparation. Zara agreed completely. The meeting between their species was going to change how both sides thought about technology and survival in the vast, dangerous beauty of space. Nyx settled into the comfortable chair that the humans had provided for her interview session. Her scales had turned a curious shade of yellow-green, which meant she was both excited and slightly nervous about learning more about these strange, new people. Dr. Lisa Park sat across from her with a warm smile and a small recording device. Thank you for agreeing to share your history with us, Nyx said in her rasping voice. We are very curious about how humans developed such a different approach to space travel and technology. Lisa nodded and activated the recorder. I am happy to explain our background. Understanding where we came from might help our species work together better in the future. Tell me about your homeworld, Nyx requested. What was Earth like when your species first developed intelligence? Lisa paused to organize her thoughts. Earth was not a kind planet. The climate changed dramatically and unpredictably. Ice ages would freeze most of the surface for thousands of years, and then warming periods would flood coastal areas and create massive storms. Volcanic eruptions could block out the sun for years at a time. Nyx's scales shifted to a darker green. This sounded much worse than any world in the galactic database. How did early humans survive such conditions? We learned to adapt quickly, Lisa continued. When the climate changed, we had to migrate to new areas or develop new survival techniques. We became very good at making tools and weapons from whatever materials we could find. We also learned to work together in groups because no individual could survive alone. What about other life forms on your planet? Nyx asked. Earth was full of predators that hunted humans for food, Lisa explained. Large cats with teeth like knives, bears that could crush a human with one blow, poisonous snakes and spiders, disease, carrying insects. Even some plants were dangerous to touch or eat. Nyx made a soft hissing sound of distress. Her own homeworld had gentle herbivores and plants that provided everything her people needed. The idea of an environment actively trying to kill its inhabitants was difficult to understand. Navigator Dana Miller joined the conversation and sat down next to Lisa. She had been listening from nearby and wanted to add her perspective. Dr. Park is actually describing the easy period of human development, Dana said with a slight smile. That was the easy period? Nyx asked in shock. Relatively speaking, yes, Dana replied. The real challenges came when humans developed technology and started building civilizations. We had to learn to compete with each other for resources while also dealing with all the natural dangers. Lisa nodded and continued the story. Human tribes and later nations fought constantly over land, water, food, and raw materials. We developed increasingly sophisticated weapons and tactics. War became a constant part of human existence for thousands of years. But surely once you developed space travel, those conflicts ended, Nyx suggested hopefully. Dana shook her head. Space made the conflicts larger and more dangerous. Early human space colonies were attacked by other human groups who wanted their resources. We fought wars in space using weapons that could destroy entire planets. Millions of people died in conflicts over asteroid mining rights and orbital territory. Nix was having trouble processing this information. The galactic community had experienced some minor disagreements over trade routes and resource allocation, but nothing approaching the scale of warfare these humans described. How did your species survive if you were constantly fighting each other? She asked. We learned that cooperation was more profitable than conflict, Lisa explained. Eventually, human leaders realized that working together allowed us to accomplish more than fighting each other. But we never forgot the lessons we learned during the violent periods. We still prepare for the possibility that cooperation might break down. That explains why your ships are so heavily armed, Nix observed. Exactly, Dana confirmed. Every human vessel is built with the assumption that it might need to fight for its survival. We hope that never happens, but we are ready if it does. Nix wanted to understand the human mindset better. What drives humans to explore space if it is so dangerous? Lisa smiled at this question. The same thing that drove us to survive on Earth. Curiosity and the desire to find something better. Humans have always believed that there is something wonderful waiting just beyond the horizon. We are willing to face danger and hardship to discover what that might be. We also explore because staying in one place feels like giving up, Dana added. Human history shows that species and civilizations that stop expanding and exploring eventually stagnate and decline. Movement and growth are essential parts of human nature. Nix found this perspective fascinating. Most galactic species explored space because it was interesting and profitable. Humans seem to explore because they needed to in order to remain healthy as a species. What do humans hope to find in the galaxy? She asked. New friends like yourselves, Lisa replied. New knowledge and technologies that can improve life for everyone. New worlds where humans can build homes and families. Maybe even answers to questions about why the universe works the way it does. And if you encounter hostile forces during your exploration, Nix pressed. We will defend ourselves and our allies, Dana answered without hesitation. But we prefer to make friends rather than enemies. Fighting is something humans are good at. But it is not something we enjoy. Nix realized that humans had a very different relationship with violence than other galactic species. For most aliens, violence was something to be avoided at all costs. For humans, it was a tool that could be used when necessary but was not preferred. Your species fascinates me, Nix admitted. You have survived challenges that would have destroyed most other civilizations. You have turned those survival skills into exploration capabilities that exceed anything in our databases. We had good teachers, Lisa said with a sad smile. Earth taught us that the universe does not care about our comfort or safety. We had to learn to care for ourselves and each other. That made us strong, but it also made us appreciate kindness and cooperation when we find it. Dana looked thoughtful. Meeting your people has been educational for us, too. We have been so focused on preparing for danger that we sometimes forget to appreciate beauty and peace. Your ships and your approach to technology remind us that there are other ways to live. Perhaps our species can teach each other, Nix suggested. Humans can share their strength and preparedness. We can share our harmony and artistic achievements. I think that would benefit everyone. Lisa agreed. The galaxy is large enough for many different approaches to survival and growth. As the interview concluded, Nix realized that first contact with humanity was going to change the galactic community in fundamental ways. Humans brought a perspective that had been missing from galactic civilization. They had learned to be strong, without being cruel, and to be prepared without being paranoid. The meeting between their species was the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. Captain Katie Sullivan stood in the shuttle bay of the USS Liberty and watched as her crew prepared for departure. The past week had been one of the most remarkable in her career as a starship commander. Meeting the galactic community had opened her eyes to possibilities she had never imagined. Captain Lily Moonwhisper approached with a small group of her officers. The elf woman carried a delicate crystal device that glowed with soft blue light. This is a communication relay, she explained to Katie. It will allow our ships to stay in contact across vast distances. I hope we can continue our conversations as we travel toward the galactic core. Katie accepted the device carefully. Human hands were much stronger than elf hands, and she did not want to accidentally break this gift. "Thank you, Captain. We have prepared some items for your people as well." Dr. Amy Richardson stepped forward carrying a sealed container. "This contains samples of human medical knowledge and biological data," she told the gathered aliens. "It might help galactic scientists understand how species can adapt to hostile environments." Zara looked especially excited about this exchange. Her blue skin had taken on a brighter shade that indicated happiness and anticipation. "I have been thinking about human engineering concepts," she said. "Maybe we can combine galactic efficiency with human robustness to create better designs for everyone." Colonel Beth Martinez handed Lily a small device that looked like a simple metal bracelet. "This is a personal defense system," she explained. "It creates a protective energy field around the wearer. Given what we have learned about galactic security, I thought your people might find it useful." Lily examined the bracelet with interest. "You are giving us weapons technology." "We are giving you the ability to protect yourselves," Katie corrected gently. "There is a difference. This device cannot harm anyone, but it can prevent harm from coming to you." Nix had been quiet during the exchange, but now she spoke up. "Captain Sullivan, what will you tell your people about us when you return to human space?" Katie smiled. "I will tell them that we have found something wonderful in the galaxy, a community of species that has learned to live in peace and create beauty together. I will recommend that humanity apply to join the Galactic Council as soon as possible." "And what will you tell the Galactic Council about humans?" Lily asked. "I will tell them that humanity brings something the galaxy has forgotten," Lily replied thoughtfully. "You remind us that strength and gentleness can exist together. Your species has survived challenges that would destroy most civilizations, but you have not become cruel or heartless." Dr. Lisa Park joined the group with Navigator Dana Miller beside her. "Captain, I have been thinking about the cultural exchange program you discussed," Lisa said. "I would like to volunteer to stay with the Starweaver as a human observer. I think there is much I can learn from galactic civilization." Katie nodded approvingly. "Dr. Richardson has also volunteered to remain as a medical liaison. She wants to study how different species have evolved and how that knowledge might benefit everyone." Lily looked pleased by this arrangement. "Zara has asked to accompany your ship to human space. She wants to observe your engineering methods and share galactic technological concepts with your people. Nix would also like to visit human worlds," the reptilian woman added. "I am curious about how your communication systems work across such vast distances." Katie realized that this exchange of personnel would create lasting bonds between their species. Humans would learn about galactic culture while aliens learned about human resilience and determination. "Before we part company, I want to share something with all of you," Katie announced. She activated a small holographic projector that displayed images of Earth and other human worlds. "These are pictures of human colonies and cities. I want you to see that despite our warlike preparations, humans also create beauty and art." The images showed gleaming cities that reached toward the sky and peaceful gardens where families gathered. Human children played in parks while artists created sculptures and musicians performed concerts. It was clear that humans valued more than just survival and military strength. "Your cities are magnificent," Lily observed. "They show that humans understand the importance of beauty and culture even while preparing for danger. We learned that life is more than just surviving," Dana explained. "We fight to protect the things we love, not because we enjoy fighting. Human art and music and literature are what give meaning to our strength." Amy activated her own display, showing medical advances that humans had developed. "Human medicine has learned to repair almost any injury and cure most diseases. We share this knowledge freely with anyone who needs it. Helping others is as important to us as protecting ourselves." The aliens studied these displays with growing understanding. Humans were not the violent, warlike species they had first appeared to be. They were a people who had learned to be strong in order to protect what was precious to them. "I think I understand humans better now," Zara said. "You are gardeners who carry swords. You want to plant flowers, but you are ready to fight anyone who tries to destroy your garden." Katie laughed at this description. "That might be the most accurate summary of humanity I have ever heard." The time had come for both ships to continue their journeys. The USS Liberty would escort the Star Weaver toward the galactic core where first contact with the Galactic Council would take place. The alien ship would carry human representatives who could explain their species to the larger galactic community. As the two ships prepared to enter hyperspace together, Katie felt optimistic about the future. Humans had found their place in a larger universe, and that place was as protectors and allies of species who shared their values. Lily stood on her bridge and watched the massive human warship take position alongside her delicate exploration vessel. The contrast between the two ships symbolized the potential for their alliance. Human strength could protect galactic civilization, while galactic wisdom could guide human expansion. Captain Nix called from her communication station. "I am receiving a message from the Galactic Council. They are eager to meet with the humans and discuss membership in the galactic community." "Send our reply," Lily ordered. "Tell them we are bringing allies who will make the galaxy stronger and safer for everyone." Both ships jumped to hyperspace together, beginning a journey that would change the future of galactic civilization. The meeting between humanity and the galactic community had proven that different approaches to survival and growth could complement each other perfectly. In the years that followed, humans would become known as the guardians of galactic peace, while aliens would teach humanity new ways to appreciate art, beauty, and harmony. Together they would explore the galaxy and discover wonders that neither species could have found alone.